here with none other than Veroshka. I didn't even ask her if anything's off limits. Is anything off limits?
No.
Okay.
Age.
Okay, age. Well, but that comes into play. I spoke to the director for the agency that helps you.
Yeah.
And the director said that he called me because he didn't know if I knew you were here already. But we'd already been in touch, and I knew that you were here, and I was already on my way to come see you. And he had called me. I missed his call, so I called him back. And when I called him back, he said, "Yeah, we have an unusual case." I said, "How so?" He said, "We've never had this before. We have someone who's, let's just say, more seasoned, who's alone, and it's a woman, not a family. We're not accustomed to cases like this." Folks, by the way, I apologize for the hollow sound, but this is the best we can do. It's a new building, and it's not really filled up with things, so the sound echoes. Hopefully it's not that loud for you guys. But there's a coffee maker over here that's like industrial, jet engines we're trying to listen to. But anyway, he said, "So it's unusual." And I said, "Well, yes, I know. I'm actually on my way to go meet with her at her hotel." And so this is the director of the agency here that's responsible for her case, and not even her case officer, but the director. And on a Saturday, we spoke about her case. He was so concerned, not that things were bad, but he just wanted to make sure that everything went well for you. So, Veroshka, when we spoke, you sent me a photograph from flying into Paris.
Yes.
Yeah, in the morning. It was beautiful.
It was.
But you didn't tell me you were coming to Pennsylvania.
I didn't know at that point in time. I knew it was on my list. It was there that I was going to come to Pennsylvania, but I was told on my email that they will tell me where I'm going when I get to Washington.
But so you didn't actually know you were coming to Harrisburg until?
No.
I'm going to move the camera a little bit closer here, folks. Give me a second. Okay. How's that? A little bit better? Yeah, we get a little bit better. Okay.
Yeah.
Make sure we're both in the camera there. Yeah, so I just have to remind Veroshka, because she's talking to me, that to look at the camera occasionally.
Yeah, no, I do. Yes, yeah.
This couch is way too comfortable. I'm sinking in and getting comfortable here. But anyway, so yes, you didn't even know you were coming here. And then you found out in Washington. And I think you only found out because your case officer contacted you.
My case officer contacted me when I was in South Africa before I had any communication from CWS.
I see.
Yeah. He let me know that I'm actually flying. If it wasn't for him, I would have had my tickets the Thursday before the long weekend. I would have had one day to finalize everything to get ready to come over. I wouldn't have known.
Well, that's just crazy.
No, it is. It's madness.
It's the whole process has got some serious problems on the other end.
Yeah, that is.
And we're seeing this all the time. The family that lives in Port Elizabeth who were contacted the day they were supposed to fly until we need you at the airport. You leave in 4 hours. And they're like, "You do realize we live in Port Elizabeth and that's a 10-hour drive to Cape Town." Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if they've come over yet, but they missed their flights that day.
Yeah.
So that was like 4 or 5 seats on a flight where they or someone else could have come over, but because of the screw up, it went to waste. Now, the U.S. government didn't lose money because the airlines can't bill us for that. They just rebooked. But the airline lost money. They could have filled those seats.
Yeah.
So
the interesting thing is I was supposed to fly on the 23rd of March. Also no communication, only communication with my case agent. And he phoned me from at work. I was at work in South Africa. He says to me, "Have you arrived in Paris?" I said, "No." He said, "Well, they've just let me know that you're on the flight and you're in Paris." I said, "No, I'm not. I'm staying in South Africa." Another flight that was lost to another family.
Yeah. And this is happening every day. It's if you're listening, U.S. government officials, someone needs to take a close look at the execution of this program. Look, I'm not trying to cause trouble for RC, and I know they have a lot of people who have deep empathy and who have interviewed and been very helpful, but that doesn't explain these errors. At some point, this becomes malicious and it must be intentional.
Yeah. Because
it's really gumming up the works. And I don't know why it's happening. The fact that the U.S. government is not noticing this is starting to disturb me, because does that mean that there are elements within the U.S. government that are trying to undermine President Trump's refugee program? I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, it doesn't seem unreasonable with all these mistakes, because every person has multiple mistakes in their case, and it's not like this normally. This isn't how it's going. There are always hiccups in this process, but it's never as bad as what's going on right now. And the excuses we've made for the government that, well, it's in-country program, they haven't done it in a long time, those have worn thin. It's been 14 months now.
Yeah, it has. And also, when I did fly in, they my case officer didn't actually know that I was on the flight. He asked me to stay in contact with him because I said to him, I'm boarding.
Mhm.
So when I arrived in Paris, I sent him a message that I'm here, I'm in Paris. He got an email from CWS 3 hours later saying that I'm on the airplane on my way.
After you are
After I've arrived.
Yeah. So the only reason that you got here safely is because of your contact with your case officer,
Yes.
who was vigilant and reached out to you.
Yes.
And you were a surprise for him. I don't think he was expecting this case.
No, I don't think. I think he was. He had
Okay.
my case. I think he had my case, but he wasn't sure either because the communication was just so non-existent.
Yeah, this is a serious problem. So I've reached out and sent messages to the U.S. government. I don't know if they'll be listened to or heard, but hopefully they will, because not because of your case, but it happened again last night. And more people contacting. Also have people being scheduled for cultural orientation for the second and third time, and they've already completed it. And they're so paranoid that if they don't go, they'll lose their spot in the queue. That they're wasting money to go all the way back, or they're wasting time to already go back and to do the same thing they've already done, just so they don't get in trouble. I mean, this is just, it beggars imagination. Okay, let's get to your case. So you came over here by yourself.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And little scary?
At first I was, and then it's a mindset. You needed to make a decision. Do you want to live in South Africa in your mind, or do you want to live in a country where you're actually free and you can actually do and be noticed for who you are?
So again, you're not 22. So
definitely not 22.
Yeah, that's a fact here. You have to admit that, Veroshka, that this is a concern. There are a lot of people who are seasoned, who are concerned that how can I make it over there? Is it okay? Can I come over? But here you sit, and you seem to be okay.
Yes, I am. I was very lucky. I was very blessed. If it wasn't for my caseworker, I would probably be struggling. I mean, he went out of his way to try and make it easy for me to come over. I landed the Thursday. The Friday we had all the paperwork done, applied for the all the
Social Security,
the social
medical
security,
appointments,
medicals.
And you had a bank account open the same day.
Yeah, same day.
Okay.
The Saturday he'd arranged for me for an interview.
Yeah, that's right. I interviewed on Saturday.
And I'm sort of working for the person already, although I'm not really working because I can't really work.
Because you're waiting for your social security number, yeah. But I mean, essentially you've been hired.
Yes.
So you arrived on a Thursday. You went through initial things at the refugee agency in Harrisburg on Friday. We had a coffee on Saturday. And then, of course, I'm a good luck charm. So she had an interview after that and got a job, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I want to make sure I want the credit. Actually, all the credit goes to Veroshka for being qualified to get a job, and also to our case officer, Andres, who's just a rock star.
Oh, he is. He's an absolute rock star.
He's got 35 cases before he even got a first South African case. And now he's got 3 South African cases, none of which, yours is actually the closest to him. The other one is moved south of where he's at, so it's about almost the same distance for him to get to as here. But another one is all the way up by Scranton, and that's crazy. That was a case that relocated out of Maryland. So he's got 38 cases, and some of these cases have been 5 years he's been helping these people.
Yeah, he has. And I also just want to say to everybody out there, if you think there's hundreds and thousands of people running around after you, it's actually small groups of people. The office, the agency is actually very small.
This agency is, yes. Some are larger. I just want to check. Can you guys all hear Veroshka okay? Because she's kind of soft-spoken. No one's complaining about not hearing you. Okay, so if you can hear her okay, give me a thumbs up. Okay, Nicklin gave a thumbs up. Okay, good.
I'll try and speak a bit louder.
Yeah, no, but you're kind of soft-spoken, so I don't want people to miss what you had to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is a small place, and that organization actually was founded many, many years ago, and the director who helped a lot of people come over in the 1970s, a lot of Vietnamese boat people.
And what an amazing man.
Yeah, a lot of Vietnamese came over here in the 70s when Vietnam fell, and they housed hundreds of them at Fort Indiantown Gap, which is just northeast of Harrisburg, and that's kind of how this organization got started, helping Vietnamese initially, but it's helped people from all over the world now, and now including South Africans. Okay, so a little scary, but you're here. Those things are in place. You've already got a job, and that's some good news. Are you going to stay here, or are you going to relocate?
I'm going to relocate.
But not out of the area.
I'm going to be in Pennsylvania, but
little further away.
A little further away, yes.
Okay.
Lancaster, I'm going to go to
Is he going to
Lancaster.
stay with your case then, your case officer?
I beg your pardon?
Will he stay with you as your case officer?
Yes, no, he will stay with me as my case officer. He's actually arranging all of that.
Okay. Yeah, I just, without disclosing where she's going, it's time-wise closer to me. Well, I mean, this is closer to me than time-wise. She's be a little further away, but not that far away. So, but this is, I mean, it's exciting stuff. So actually, I got to be honest with you. I saw a lady walking yesterday, very unusual. She was walking on the side of a road where you're not supposed to be walking as I was leaving. And I glanced down, I was checking my dashboard, and I looked up and I'm like, she's right on the edge of the road. And from behind, I'm like, is that Veroshka? What's she doing all the way over here? So I pulled in down the street and turned around and looked to make sure it wasn't you, but it wasn't you. She just resembled you. I was like, oh my gosh, we have refugees out wandering around on the streets of Carlisle. No, it wasn't you. Thank goodness.
That would have been so funny.
But I was going to give you a ride. And my first thought when I saw that, I said, that's Veroshka. I'm going to have to tell her how impressed I am, because this is about 8 kilometers from where she's staying, where I was at that moment. And I said, I used to walk that far. I can't do it anymore. So I would have been very impressed. All right. So what was the push factor for you? Did you, without detailing it, was it past persecution, or would you have a legitimate fear of future persecution?
It was current and future.
So it was ongoing.
It was ongoing. We had an incident where I was living in Johannesburg, where these guys came to the gate of the property. They were from the EFF. At the point in time, I didn't know that. I thought they were just people that were angry at somebody that was on the property. Later on, we learned that they were EFF, and they were trying to break the gate down with pangas and semi-automatic weapons. And it was really, I phoned the police, and to this day, I'm still waiting
For the police to respond.
Yeah. And that was the final straw for me, I thought. And they said they'll kill each and every white person on that property. They will kill each and every person that even looks remotely Afrikaans.
Well, there you go, folks. I mean, that's serious racial persecution.
And that is within a community that was within a built-up area. It wasn't out in the rural areas.
Yeah,
it's not a farm.
No, that's the thing. People, because this got contorted because of lazy, dishonest, racist press in America and in South Africa, this got turned into Afrikaner farmers, which it never was. And that's because Trump mentioned farmers in 2018 in his tweet. And then when he announced he was suspending aid, he talked about land dispossession. He probably should have talked about property dispossession. If only he had better advisors that were more informed in South Africa. Maybe listen to the right people, President Trump. He would have had the right verbiage there. But anyway, it got turned into Afrikaner farmer thing, but that's not what the program is at all. And in fact, of the whites, at least 40%, I would say, are actually English-speaking in South Africa.
Yes. Yeah.
Not even Afrikaners. So, but of course, white South Africans are predominantly the largest group here. But there are Indians and coloreds. And in fact, I'll be interviewing an Indian in Iowa here probably next week.
There was an Indian family on the group that came through with me as well. So
okay. Any idea where they went?
I have actually no idea. I tried to make contact with them, but they kept very much to themselves and aside from everybody else, which is pretty sad, actually. Would have been nice to make contact with them. And
yeah, it would be. So if you're out there, if you're listening, reach out to me. You send me an email, and if you want to do an interview, we'll do an interview. It doesn't have to be on camera. We do anonymity. Excuse me. I'm tired. It's early morning. I went to bed late. I had a hard time pronouncing English this morning. Maybe I should switch to French or German. Bonjour tous. C'est plus facile de parler en français ce matin. Okay. But seriously, so that's why you came over. And again, I don't mean to keep harping, but people need to understand, because it's important, Veroshka, that you do this interview, and I'm glad you're doing it. Thank you for that. Because we have a lot of people that are, let's say, older than 40.
Yes.
A little bit older than 40.
They're seasoned.
Seasoned. Who are concerned. They think they can't do this, but you're here. Let me get your first impressions. Now, you've been to Harrisburg. Don't be too impressed by Harrisburg. Okay.
Yeah, I was very tired when I went through.
Right, that's the first thing. But also, it's just a capital city. It's nothing to get excited about. But you've been to Harrisburg. You've been here to Carlisle. You don't have a car, and so you've probably been mostly at the hotel since you've been back.
Yes.
Okay, but you have gotten out. I took you around
Yes.
Carlisle and showed you around, and I don't know if you went out with your new employer to see anything, or you just mentioned.
Yes, he also took me out when he came through to see me, to do the interview with me. He took me to, and I'm trying to think he went and bought me lunch. Oh my God. I ordered, thinking like, it will be a nice portion.
Oh, the portions, yes.
ordered the southern fried chicken. I didn't know it was a bloody full chicken. It was
They gave you a whole chicken, huh?
They gave me the whole chicken. I'm thinking, oh my God. So all of it's here still, majority of it.
You took the doggy bag.
Yeah, I took the doggy bag and frozen it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have gotten out a couple times.
Yes,
What are your first impressions of Pennsylvania so far? I know it's early days.
It is beautiful. I really, really like it here. It's a really lovely county. The people are so friendly. Look, you've got your haters. I've had my first incident with that as well, and just shake it off.
Well, where we're currently at is kind of interesting because this was a field just a short time ago. I mean, in the last couple of years, this whole area, there wasn't anything on this side of the highway. The other side of the highway has been developed with warehouses and factories for some time. But this side was kind of the remote wildlands. And the proof of that is when I drove in this morning, I mentioned her and she actually knew about it. There's a turkey, a wild turkey. And turkeys are very skittish. When they see people, they take off, they fly away. They don't like to see people. But there's a turkey eating grass across the street. And you saw him from your room.
Yeah, I actually was standing outside a little bit last night. Because obviously, I don't want to sit between four walls all day and night. And I was standing on that side, and I saw him on the other side of the road, and he was coming towards the road. And I thought, better you don't do that. You're going to become roadkill.
Yeah. Well, the turkeys are smarter than a lot of other birds.
Yes,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, domestic turkeys are dumb, but wild turkeys are pretty clever.
I thought that was very funny that there was a turkey in the middle of a built-up area.
Well, exactly. And but this wasn't a built-up area a short time ago. We're intruding in his space.
Yeah.
So when I first saw it, I'm like, that is a big-ass crow. And I looked again, I'm like, that's not a crow, that's a turkey. Anyway, all right. So for you, Veroshka, let's talk about the process. How did this go? Did you do the PRM email, the statement of interest, and the intake questionnaire?
Yeah. I did the PRM email, I think, just before my birthday in June last year.
Okay. So you waited a little bit. You didn't do it right away.
No, I didn't do it.
You did the PRM email after the statement of interest came out. If you did it in June.
Yeah.
The statement of interest came out in May.
Yeah.
Wow. And what happened? Did you do the intake questionnaire?
I did do the intake questionnaire. When I did the email, I never had a response back. Everybody said they got a response back confirming that they
Well, yeah, but if you sent it in June, that would be why. They weren't doing it anymore.
Okay. Didn't know at that point in time. And I did the intake questionnaire, and that was just after this incident with the people at the gate. I thought, that's the last straw.
Okay.
That was really the last straw for me. And then November came, and I had my first interview with CWS. That was so funny because that was virtual on Teams, and they said you needed to be in an area where they can see the door closed behind you. Now, I lived in a bachelor unit, and the doors were invisible, and I thought, this is a problem. So I set myself up in the bathroom with the door closed behind me.
It worked?
It worked. It worked.
All right. So, I want to go back to that. So the PRM email, folks, for those who don't know the timeline, became available on the 10th of February, 2025 from the US Embassy website. They published that email. On May 12th, when the when the 59ers landed here in the US, they went active with a statement of interest. And at that point, they weren't clear, they didn't tell people. But I said from that moment, you better do a statement of interest just to be certain. You never did a statement of interest.
I did after, because the first time I never had a response back that I had.
Oh, so you did do a statement of interest?
Yeah.
Okay, I misunderstood. Okay, so you did all three steps.
Yes, I did all three steps.
Okay, so you never got contact from PRM or the statement of interest. You finally got contacted after the intake questionnaire.
Yes. And soon after, I did the intake questionnaire.
Okay. And how did you know to do the intake questionnaire?
Sorry?
How did you know that you should do the intake questionnaire?
You.
Oh, you're watching my show?
Yeah, I was watching your show.
Funny that.
Yeah. It was you that said, and I thought, okay, I better go and do this. Yeah.
Good thing you listened, huh?
Yes, I did.
One of the recurring themes I keep hearing from people, and this isn't to toot my horn or anything, but so many people I've talked to recently who are refugees who come over here said that they're only here because they watch my program. I mean, obviously because the U.S. let them come, but there's so much confusing information, so many misleading people out there that if they hadn't been watching my program, that they never would have known what they should do and when they should do it. You feel the same way? Yes,
I did. You never knew. If it wasn't for your program, I think half of the people that's here wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Because the communication on the other side and the haters on that side and the miscommunication and false news would keep a lot of people away from this. So actually, the fact there's a lot of people out there trying to stop this whole process.
But there actually are. And that's one of the reasons why I advise people to stay out of the WhatsApp groups and the Facebook pages, because there are a lot of haters in there who are trying to undermine the program. You'll get people coming who haven't even applied for the program. They'll have an Afrikaans name. They'll be, oh, this is so unfair. You know, I did the processing in June, and no one, and they come up with an implausible story, but people just get emotional because they're waiting and they're concerned, and they start believing it. And then you have this, and not to pick on the so-called October, November groups, but there's no such thing. And you know, I had someone accuse me of not understanding their plight. That kind of irritated me yesterday during my broadcast. I do understand your plight, but you're not, you know, there's no group. No one was grouped. The only group you want to say a group, the raid on Woodmead, those people technically are a group because you can affiliate with a group of people who something happened to. The rest of you are just people who got processed. And so it's, but the point of the story is that there are people actually out there trying to actively dissuade people. And I'm still getting people telling me that, you know, I would apply for the program, but I'm not a farmer. Like, what?
You don't have to be a farmer. I'm certainly not a farmer either.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go.
I wouldn't know the first thing about farming.
So there you go. I mean, again, this is not a farmer program. It's not for white South Africans. It's for racial minorities, which includes more than white South Africans. The colored community, Indians, also include Khoi and San, technically, if they want to apply for it. I don't know of any Khoi or San who've done it, but they could apply for it. So what was the most difficult part of the process for you?
For me, the most difficult part was the communication, not knowing what's going on.
Being left in the dark.
Being left in the dark, yes. That was the most difficult part. It becomes frustrating. You don't know, you're in limbo. Do I resign from my job? Do I start selling everything? And coming back to that, I eventually took a chance. I had no communication from CWS. I worked totally on Andres, what he's given me. And I
Your
thought,
case
look,
officer.
my case officer, yes. And I'm glad I did. Because if I hadn't, I got my ticket the Thursday before the long weekend. I flew out the Wednesday. It would have left me with one day to sell my car, sell everything, get rid of everything.
So you got rid of your car and got rid of everything based on your case officer reaching out to you?
Yes.
And you took a risk because you didn't know if that was legit?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that you have a great case officer who's an honest person.
And the sad thing is he was in trouble for that. CWS gave him a hard time and said he's not allowed to talk to people before they actually hear.
See, that's a lie. That's a lie.
Yeah.
So Church World Service, if they're telling people that, that's a lie. Because we have instances of IRC and Jewish Family Services, case officers, and other agencies reaching out to their refugees in South Africa months before they arrive. I mean, I know a person that was contacted in August and they didn't go over until like February.
Yes.
Because there was something with the case, but the case officer already knew that family was coming there and that agency had accepted the case. So I don't know what Church World Service is telling people, but once again, this sounds like an organization that's intent on undermining this program. If you're listening and you're in the Trump administration, I urge you to investigate this organization, which has been fleecing the American taxpayer of $189 million on average per year. Their chief executive officer makes north of $300,000 a year. Wow. They are tone deaf. When you do media inquiries, they ignore you. When you report cases, they tell you they can't talk about cases. I'm not asking you to talk about cases. I'm telling you about neglect and you're ignoring it. Having said that, they do have good people in places, the RSC people. There's some very good people there, even if they don't understand the geography of South Africa. And as I said before, Church World Service has done a really good job with a refugee down in Florida, and not the only place. But this sort of behavior is unacceptable. And at some point, it gives the impression that Church World Service is actively undermining what's going on here. I don't know. I don't want you to make that claim, but did you get the sense that they're just not helping you? They're kind of an impediment.
Yes, absolutely. I got the sense that they weren't helping. I must say, for the people in the CWS, the people that I've spoken to, the agents that was in contact with you, whilst you've got that facial contact, they were brilliant. They were
This is the RSC people.
Yeah, the RSC people. They were compassionate, and they were gentle with you. But from that moment after you had your first contact, that's it. No communication.
And then the cock up with your tickets. So we had someone, Chris, gave a super chat on a broadcast when I was doing an interview last week, and he said that this was like on the 8th of April. He got the 10th, I think it was on. He said that he got his ticket and he was flying out. I think he flies today, if I'm not mistaken. Last week he got it. So he got it 4 days before his flight. But the ticket's dated March 23rd.
Wow. Yeah. That's probably the one that I was supposed to go on.
Well, but the point of it, no, that's when it was issued.
Yes.
So the ticket was purchased for the refugee on the 23rd of March. He was not notified until the 8th of April. Okay, that's unacceptable. That's over 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks he could have been disposing of personal items. 2 weeks he could have canceled leases. I don't know what his situation is, but you don't sit on that sort of thing. And that's like the story of PE, where the lady was contacted. You're supposed to be flying in 4 hours. Well, obviously they purchased her tickets 2 or 3 weeks prior and never informed the family. I mean, this is unacceptable, you know, and I'm the one complaining, not the refugees, because I'm the taxpayer and I'm paying for a service and it's not being delivered. And that's not acceptable. And the Trump administration needs to get more attention on this program. We know that the Office of Refugee Resettlement is aware of a lot of problems on this side once refugees arrive. And with the new director, Angie Salazar, they're making a concerted effort. And I know they're making a concerted effort. And I'll tell you why. Veroshka. In case you won't have this problem, but if you do, let me know. So I was contacted by someone who, through their agency, applied for Social Security cards in December. It's mid-April. They don't have Social Security numbers. The husband has a job, but he's in jeopardy of losing it now because he doesn't have a Social Security number. They can't pay him. And so this is unacceptable. You're making people dependent. You're going to get them to fail intentionally, so they beg to go home or something like that. So I reached out to the Office of Refugee Resettlement. I explained the situation, and I told them, I said, look, I don't know that this is your responsibility, but I know it's a problem because but can you check into it? And so they took on that issue yesterday. I got a response within 2 hours from the Office of Refugee Resettlement to that case. So they are trying. What I need is for USCIS to get on the ball and find out what's going on here, because these flights, these interviews, these medicals, it's just a mess. And at some point, this appears to be malicious. And this is not a good look for the United States. We should never be as incompetent as the African National Congress when it comes to managing our business.
Yes. No, I agree with that.
Just saying.
Hopefully it never comes to that.
Just saying. I wonder if there's a cat in here. I'm certainly.
There was a cat here yesterday.
Okay,
so there lots of pets in here.
I've got my face has got burning from cat dander. So yeah, I can tell when there's a cat around. Okay, so you got things underway. Are you excited?
Very. I'm very excited. I've never felt this calm. I mean, I'm watching your shows at night and I'm falling asleep. I am so calm.
Well, that's not a ringing endorsement for my show.
Not at all. It's just I'm so calm and so relaxed. I mean, something that I haven't experienced probably for years. You don't realize just how stressed you are and how tense you are.
Until you're away from it.
Until you're away from it and your body actually says, okay, now I can relax.
Yeah, you can.
And I forced myself to stay awake so I can watch the program.
Wow. Okay. Well, actually, I'm glad you're falling asleep during my show. If that's
that is no indication of your shows. I don't listen for that.
Well, as long as you're still leaving it on, you can sleep. You don't have to watch it. I talked to someone this morning who was watching my show last night, and I said, "Did you see my song about Eric Swalwell?" And they said, "No." Someone was complaining it sounded like Karen Carpenter. I said, "No, that was later. I played an old song." And the person's like, "Oh, I guess I fell asleep watching your show." So
I'm not the only one.
Yeah, apparently you're not the only one who's falling asleep watching my show. So I'm not really sure that's a ringing endorsement for the quality of my content. I may have to relook what I do at night. Anyway, but seriously, okay, so you're excited. How did you approach this? I mean, before you answer, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, okay? Getting out of that situation in South Africa, particularly when it seems to be ramping up, and now they're banging on the gates of where you're living at. So, did you approach this from a standpoint that, well, it's an adventure, let's make the most of it, and I'll take on whatever challenges come?
Yes and no.
Okay, that's why I asked the question. Go ahead.
Yes and no. It is an adventure, but it's also about your own, what you want for yourself. I know that there's no future for me there. If I had to lose my job in South Africa, I would be buggered. There is just no way. So, and when you look at this and you think, this is a chance, this is something I can do. And it's changing your mind about holding on to what you have, holding on to what you used to, what you know, and stepping into the unknown. And that was that was it for me. It was like, it's like a two-way street. You know, I had the moments that I thought, oh, maybe I should pull up. Maybe I'm making a mistake. Who knows? And I thought, no, just go for it.
Well, now that you're here, do you think it was the right choice?
Absolutely. Absolutely was the right choice. There is no other choice.
Well, I mean, that's a sad statement about how far South Africa's gone. I mean, it was look, I mean, not everyone had access to first world services, but it was a first world country 30 years ago.
Yes, it was. I was part of that country 30 years ago. I was much younger then.
Yeah, yes. Weren't we all? We were soldiers once and young.
Yeah.
In my case, that's a true story. I don't know if you served.
No.
But we were soldiers once and young. Absolutely. That's Galloway and Hal Moore. That's their book that they did. Joe Galloway and Hal Moore. Both of them have passed away now. But Joe Galloway just passed away a couple of years. I actually made his acquaintance and was chatting with him not too long before he passed away. Very famous, war correspondent. All right, so gosh, it sounds like things are going pretty well. This place you're in I saw what they charge on the side. It's a pretty good deal. It's not one of the top end, but it's rather nice because it's brand new.
It has everything you need. There's nothing else.
Do you have a kitchenette in your room?
Yes, I have a kitchenette in my room.
Okay, so it's like a long-term stay sort of place.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
All right.
It's very nice. It's very quiet. The people here, as I say, they're very friendly. You do get your unfriendly ones, but the majority of them are very friendly. And I walked in here this morning wanting to go outside a little bit and forgetting that I'm in America. I said, "Goeiemorgen allemaal." And I had these people look at me and I thought, oh, sorry. Good morning, everybody.
Okay, Veroshka, let me tell you, that's a little worse than the people who ask for chips and get potato chips. That's more of an honest mistake. You had a cultural warp there. Yeah. People are definitely not going to understand it. Actually, I said that this morning because I went to Isak's news pod. Before I went to bed. I was working and it was after midnight. And he's like, "Aren't you supposed to be in bed now?" I said, "Yeah, probably." But I was making a video about Elon Musk, and so I published that. And so I just caught a little bit of Isak, and I wished everyone good morning. All right, so what's next? You're going to move into a place soon. Have you got a place in mind already, or?
Andres is busy. He's meeting with the people this morning. He's going to sort out a place for me, and I believe there's another refugee that has arriving there in that area.
I think they come on the 18th. Or
they're coming today.
Oh, they're coming today. Okay,
yeah,
well,
in the same area, so the two of us will be there.
Okay, in that same area.
And that person is also employed by the same employer.
Oh, wow.
As far as I understand, I could be very wrong. I don't want to give wrong information.
Okay.
But
well, I mean, that's a place that I used to go to more frequently. I don't go so much anymore. Maybe I'll have to go down there and hang out and get a free braai every now and then.
Yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
All right, so they're arriving today. I thought they're arriving on the 18th. I might have misunderstood. Of course, the director might have misunderstood. We spoke on Saturday. So, okay, so you've not letting any grass grow on your feet since you got here.
No. That's one of the big things is don't come here and sit down and hope everything is going to happen for you. Get up and do it for yourself. That is one of the main things. And make sure that you speak to your case agent. He's there to help you.
Well, not everybody has a case officer as good as yours. That's the problem.
I guess, yes.
Yeah. But so I don't, because I know your case officer and I know that he's a hard worker and he cares, he really has empathy. It's not a situation, but I suspect I get the impression from having met and talked to you that you're a person that if you had a case officer that was bad, you'd probably stand up for yourself.
Yes, I would. Absolutely, I would. I won't take it lying down.
Well, the reason I mention that is because there are a number of folks who've come over who have bad case officers who don't do the job they're supposed to. And oftentimes I find out that they're just not standing up for themselves. They're just taking things as it comes. And this isn't unique to South Africans. This happens with many refugees around the world because you can imagine some people are escaping war zones where horrible things have happened and they're just grateful to get out of that. And they probably are fearful that if they say or do anything or refute what they're told, that they're going to be sent back, which can't happen, by the way. Your case officers have no control over that. USCIS is the adjudicator for that. And you're only going to go back if certain things happen. So most people never go back. The point of the story is that a lot of people who are refugees who come over don't stand up for themselves. And I personally believe, based on anecdotal evidence and the research that I've been doing since discovering what was happening in Rochester a few months back, is that there are refugee agencies that have probably been getting over on the American citizens and taxpayers by not providing the services that refugees are entitled to under the law, and then the benefits that they should get, services they should get that these, I mean, I've had so many places around the country where South Africans are telling me that their agency says, we're done with you after 3 weeks or a month.
Yes, yeah.
That's utter
I've heard that
nonsense.
too.
I just told you guys a short while ago about her case officer who has 38 cases, and some of them are 5 years old. These agencies get paid by the US government to provide a service for 5 years, not for 15 days. So if that's happening, you stand up for yourself. And if you're unsure, send me an email. I'll do my best to get to it, but with 7,000 emails in my inbox, it isn't always easy.
Yes. Don't send an email.
No, but I mean, it's the only way you're going to get an answer unless you stand up for yourself. But don't be obstinate. I mean, some people are just, they take the wrong approach. Just be considerate and see how it goes.
But don't be arrogant about it.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Don't be arrogant about it, because you will come short.
So let me ask you this, Veroshka, before we do that, let me see how we're doing on the stream, how long we've been at this. We've been at this for about 36 minutes, okay? All right, so let me ask you this. Do you have any advice for folks, or for South Africans in general? And I don't want to talk to more seasoned South Africans. So you can address the camera for South Africans about the program. What advice might you have?
Being a seasoned person.
No, save the season for later.
Okay, must I say the season for later?
Yeah, no, because we want to focus on that at first, make it so. But just being a South African and applying for the program, any advice to people? Because a lot of people don't even know about the program. They think it's for farmers, you know. So
when you apply for the program, make up your mind there and then. If you're not serious about it, then please don't apply. You're taking away from other people. I've heard so many times of people saying that they just didn't pitch, and I don't know if this is true.
They what?
They don't pitch for their flights.
No, I'm not aware of that being a problem. If it was a problem, I know somebody would tell me if that was a problem. It may have happened on a couple of occasions, but I think that's anecdotal, and there's not a lot of truth to it.
And change your mindset. You're not going to come here for a holiday. You're here to come and become part of and integrate into a community and become part of an economy that's working. So, and mindset for me was, when I think I'm rather going to go back to what my experiences was. Mm-hmm. When it came close to the time that I had to fly out of South Africa, I still had a lot of stuff sitting around that wasn't done. And the decision I made at the end was, you know what? I've made the decision. I'm leaving South Africa behind. It's breaking my heart because it's a beautiful country.
It is. It's an amazing place.
I closed the door behind me and I walked away. That was the best thing I ever did. If I had to hold on to the little things I left behind, the family I haven't spoken to, the things I haven't had a chance to finish up with, I would probably find myself still in South Africa.
Well, in fact, Veroshka, if I'm not mistaken, people didn't know that you left.
They still don't. I had the first call this morning from a friend of mine to go and see. I can't get hold of Veroshka. I'm going to see what's going on there. And this is like at 4:30 this morning, my time.
Yeah, because it's 10 o'clock in the morning there.
They didn't know. And I said, well, unless you come to Pennsylvania, you're going to have a hard time finding me.
All right, so
I told nobody. My boss and his wife knew, because I had to tell them. Sure. I gave them only a 5-day notice period, and I felt terrible about that. But you don't know.
No, but you got to take care of yourself. What if you get noticed 3 months ago and then you're waiting, you've been without work?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
wow. So for some folks who know Veroshka, this may be your discovery that she's in America.
Yes.
This interview. Okay, let's turn our attention to the seasoned resettlers, the third wave of voortrekkers that are coming over. So you're
singletons as well.
And singletons, yes.
Seasoned singletons. Don't be scared. You have got the most amazing people here. There's groups of people here that set up, that have been here for a while, that will help you through it. And the one thing I know, that as a South African, I don't reach out. If there's a problem, I just don't reach out. But it's time to reach out. When you get here, know that you're in a different country, know that you're in a different culture. Reach out, say something.
Well, interesting. While you were explaining that, a family just walked by us. And the reason I'm going to raise this issue is because you hear this nonsense about America in the press all over the world, and especially in South Africa, about how bad things are. And I've told people, when I came back from Ethiopia in 2015, if I didn't know better, I'm an American, I know better, but if I didn't know better because of CNN International, I would have thought a full-scale race war was going on in America because
that's the impression you get.
Ferguson and the hands up and all that nonsense in Baltimore and Gray and Freddie Gray and all that stuff. The media made it sound like there was a race war going on. But I got to Pennsylvania, I'm like, this is utter nonsense. What did I just see walk in front of me? I saw a mixed race couple.
Yes.
I saw a white man with his black wife and their daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. And actually they're standing outside right now. I'm not saying that's the norm, but what I'm saying is that here we are in Pennsylvania. Obviously, the things that people say are just inflated and exaggerated. It doesn't mean the country is perfect. We don't have problems, but obviously, it's not the picture that the press around the world paints about this country.
The picture you get in South Africa, if you're watching any of the shows of what's going on with ICE and all of that stuff, it's almost like it's a civil war going on here, and it's unbelievably untrue.
So how many times have you encountered ICE?
Not once, but I make sure I carry my papers with me just in case.
So you haven't seen ICE? Okay, all right.
No, I haven't seen. I've seen ICE in the fridge, but.
All right, let me go up to the screen and see if I can't see. There's a couple of questions maybe you'll have. Okay, so might be some questions here. Come up here, okay? Let's see if we got anything. People complain about the limbo group. Can't wait to come over. People wishing you the very best. Sloth Puppy, who's one of the OGs on my channel, been with me from the very beginning, says this lady is a legend, such a legend.
Thank you.
Operational security. She told no one. Epic. Yeah, about coming over.
That's for your own safety in South Africa.
Yeah, no, it's OPSEC, and that's what I've been telling people. Somebody said very insightful live. Okay. Be prepared to cut off all contact necessary. You take that approach, you won't succeed. Okay. Okay. Somebody told me to be patient. Don't lose it with the external noise. I didn't lose it. I'm just looking around. People need to stop with this time wasting. You're either in or you're not in. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. Entitlement gets you nowhere. Thank heaven for my channel. This is Kathy. Just did not like the trolling incidents. Found the channel in November, then started with the application. Okay. All right. It's awesome. My Indian friend once said to me that they never had a good deal in South Africa. First to the black, then to white. The race issue is hard for everyone. Yep, it is true. All right. Okay. Well, don't forget to hit the like button, folks, if you don't mind. Okay. It says 5 colored families. Wow. What's that? Somebody's talking about something I must have missed here. All right. Okay. Well, I'm going to stop there because I don't really see any questions from Veroshka. I'm going to apologize that I'm not answering your questions. Okay. Is this? There we go. Okay. I want to make sure it's back. So, yeah, it's a little hard here because we're doing this live like this. I really can't see the screen very well. But when I'm in the studio, it's a little bit easier. But these interviews, I think, are better for many reasons. We're in person. We see each other. People see. Yeah. It's not AI. I think she's real.
I'm very real. I'm very real.
So, all right. Well, before we wrap up, you've given advice. You've talked about your situation. And you're glad you came over, but are there any regrets in anything? Maybe regrets about what's happened in South Africa?
The only regret I had is that my 17-year-old cat, I had to put her down. She wouldn't have made the trip.
Yeah, no,
she wouldn't have made the trip.
No,
I was told by the vet
the stress.
I would get a body on this side.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, and that's unfortunate. That's why my cat stayed in Germany, and she lived to be 23.
Yes. Yeah. I think she would have lived until 25 and stayed in South Africa as well. She would have been a very old cat. But
well, 23 is really pushing it for a cat, domestic cat. Feral cats usually live 6 to 8 years, best case, because of all the stuff they get involved in outside of the house. Domestic cats that they're taken care of can live usually 12 to 15 years. And anything beyond that is just really amazing.
Yeah, no, it is.
What was your cat's name?
Spooky.
Spooky, okay.
It's like a little ghost. Yeah. It was my little shadow. Wherever I moved, I just saw the little tail behind me all the time.
All right, well, once
there are no regrets. There's absolutely no regrets coming here.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, that's the thing about life is that we make mistakes sometimes in life. We don't always do what we should do. But if we have regrets, I think the regrets should be for the things we did, not the things we didn't do. Yes. If that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense.
And in this case, if you had not done the program, you probably would have regretted it down the road.
I would have.
Yeah.
I would have probably said, honestly, you had the opportunity and you missed it by your choice. Don't make that mistake.
And there's an awful lot of people now who are just now starting to apply for the program.
I believe
And I'm
it, yeah.
shocked. I mean, what have they been waiting for?
Mm.
Some of them didn't know about the program because of the
A
media.
lot of people don't know about the program. They still believe it's for farmers, like you said earlier. They still believe it's only for farmers. It's not just for farmers. I'm hardly a farmer. And if you put me on a farm, I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Well, I want to focus on one other thing before we wrap up, and this is a very important thing. So a lot of South Africans are accustomed, especially white men, of being denied employment after they reach the age of 50. They're never going to get a job again if they lose their job. You're a white lady, and you're a couple minutes older than 50, and here you are, and you had a job interview the day after you arrived, and you secured a job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that flies in the face of all of the conventional wisdom that these people are trying to tell us about this program, that you can't make it over here. How are you possibly going to find a job? And I'm like, how could you not find a job? The unemployment rate is 4% in this country. The only people that don't work in this country are people that don't want to work or physically incapable of working.
Yeah. Or they just simply don't want to work. They want everything for free.
Yeah,
That's been my perception, and I've only been here a couple of days.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's one of the most important things you take from this. The fact that she did this on her own. She's not 22. And what's nice about this conversation for us, other than I enjoy talking to you, is that we're also introducing something new. Someone that is not that far off from retirement age.
No, I'm not.
No. But nonetheless is able to find work. Because as I've told you, age discrimination is a federal violation. It's against federal law. And that applies in all 50 states and all 4 territories. So you cannot discriminate against someone based on their age. But I get the sense, based on how your thing went with the employer, that wasn't even a factor for consideration for him. He wanted your skills.
He wanted my skills. And that's what they're looking for here. The South Africans are actually very sought after here because of the integrity within the working environment. Mm-hmm. And your skin color, how milky white you are, is not...
It's not even a factor.
It's not a factor. It certainly isn't a factor. So if you're going to come over here and thinking, oh my God, I'm going to struggle to get a job because I'm a white male, change that mindset right now.
Because it's nonsense.
It's nonsense. It's utter nonsense.
Yep.
You've got as much a chance of getting a job as anybody else in this country.
Because it's merit-based. Yeah,
it is merit-based. It's merit-based, and people will give you an opportunity. Don't mess with it.
Yeah, take the opportunity and make good use of it. Don't squander it. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, Veroshka, we could probably talk for a long time this morning, but I have to get back to work. So, and not this work, but my consulting work.
Me too.
Yeah, are you working already?
Yeah, I'm busy with a business plan for you.
She's making a business plan for a new employer. All right, so we are holding up progress here. Both of us have work to do. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Be sure to hit the like button. If the sound wasn't great, my apologies for that. And yeah, so there you go. Veroshka is the second case that's arrived in central Pennsylvania. The case officer told me that he's expecting 50 cases in central Pennsylvania this fiscal year. So 2 down, 48 more to go.
Look forward to welcoming you guys here. We'll start something when you get here. We'll have a big fat braai.
Well, there you go. All right.
South African way. I'm sure that we can get wood somewhere, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can buy wood. Yeah, you can buy wood for braai. A lot of people do that. All right, folks, from central Pennsylvania, this is Chris with Veroshka. Wishing you all a very good day. Be sure to hit the like button and feel free to leave a comment behind. If you have questions for Veroshka that we didn't get a chance to get to, send me an email. I can't promise I'll inundate her with them, but I'll do my best. And thank you all so much. God bless and have a good day. Cheers.
Thank you.